show our people just how far we'll go.
After watching Moana 2 in theaters, I can't help wondering what will be next for Moana and her crew. While the film didn't leave the story on a cliffhanger, the mid-credits scene did imply that another film or series would be in the franchise's future. Moana foiled Nalo's plans to keep the people of the ocean separated, but she failed to defeat the god entirely. Free to enact his acts of vengeance, Nalo will search for ways to get his revenge on Moana and prevent her people from gaining more power. I suspect he will have a more active role in the events of a third film, forcing Moana to the recesses of the ocean where she must outwit him once again. With so much at stake, there's plenty of potential for Moana 3. In today's video, I'll discuss what I expect from the next film.
Okay, rule number 1. You never saw me like this?
Number 1. Moana's new powers. The first film introduces us to the concept of demigods and the power they wield. In Maui's case, he has unparalleled strength, near invulnerability, and can shapeshift. He received favor from the gods as a baby as they decided to raise him after his human parents abandoned him. A pivotal part of Maui's character design are his tattoos, including his sentient companion that detail his exploits from bringing humans fire to helping Moana restore the heart of Te Fiti. In the sequel, Moana receives her own magical tattoos after lifting the curse from Motufatu, allowing her people to reconnect from across the ocean. At first glance, it seems that Moana may receive her tattoos from the spirits or the ocean itself, but when she turns to Maui and inquires, "Does this mean?" it's established that she's become a demigod alongside him. As such, she has earned the favor of the gods and will have new abilities. One would assume that these new powers will extend to her connection with the ocean. She will likely have the ability to control tidal waves or create whirlpools. She may also have the ability to shapeshift, turning into aquatic animals, like Maui and the spirits of her ancestors. At the end of the film, she creates a golden path in the water, leading her and her crew to a new destination. This ability, likely the most useful, connects to her duties as a wayfinder. Matangi explains that the essence of a wayfinder is to find new places, which requires becoming lost and venturing into uncharted waters. Moana's new ability will allow her to do exactly this, as she can always point her crew in the right direction.
What if you don't come back?
I'll be back. I promise.
Number 2. New Islands. At the end of the sequel, several boats reach Motufatu's shores. Each of them approach from a different current, insinuating that the people come from entirely different islands. When Moana leads these new acquaintances back to Motunui, they're joined by more than a dozen ships. In the following scene, Motunui's leaders share drinks with these new people, solidifying their alliance and strengthening all of their islands in the process. It's clear that Moana's story is far from over, further implied as she and her crew set off to explore the world beyond Motufatu. The third film would likely take them to new islands where they could learn the culture and customs of their neighbors. I suspect that the new characters whom Moana met on Motufatu's shores were designed with their futures in mind. For example, the first person she meets being a young man may not be a coincidence, as they share a long and meaningful look. Moana is perfect without a romantic interest and is capable of sailing the sea without one, but she is still someone with a large heart and may not have reservations about sharing it with someone else. If this is the case, then Moana will certainly reunite with this unnamed character and his fellow islanders in the future.
How could I ask them to?
Our people will rise if you let them.
Number 3. Simia becoming a wayfinder. Simia is one of the more influential characters from the new cast. While she's only a child, her connection with Moana transcends distance and provides her sister a reason to keep fighting. From the opening scenes of the film, it's clear that Moana cares a great deal for Simia and wants to influence her upbringing. The sisters have many touching moments, including discussing Motunui's history, Simia meeting the ocean, and becoming equally distressed at Moana's treacherous journey to Motufatu. When Moana falls unconscious after encountering the massive sea clam, her insecurities manifest as a vision of Simia, who would usually bring her comfort. The message is clear: Moana is worried about failing her sister and never seeing her again. The pair's bond leads me to believe Simia will follow in her sister's footsteps, becoming her island's next great wayfinder. She already has a connection to the ocean, shown halfway through the film when she and Moana send messages to one another, using the water as a messenger. The ocean doesn't interact with anyone else from Motunui in such a way, which implies that it has taken a liking to Simia and will assist her in future adventures. While Simia is still young, it doesn't prevent her from becoming an apprentice sailor in the next film, as there was already a time skip between Moana 1 and 2. She could even study under Moana, who has become an expert in tying knots, navigating from the stars, and managing her ship in turbulent waters. Along the way, she could become caught up in Moana's next adventure, leading her to save her sister and assist in finally stopping Nalo.
What did you bring me?
Bring you?
You said you'd bring me a present.
Well, let me see.
Number 4. Maui's history. In the first film, we hear a little about Maui's backstory. After his biological parents abandoned him, the gods showed mercy by choosing to raise Maui as one of their own. He becomes a demigod with profound powers, which he uses in a bid to be accepted by humanity. Maui has lived longer than any main character in the franchise and has lifetimes worth of experiences. In the sequel, for example, he has made an enemy of Nalo, which is why he plans to free Motufatu from the other man's control. The dialogue between Maui, Moana, and Matangi imply that he once had a romantic relationship with the goddess, which didn't end on good terms. As Nalo, Matangi, and Tamatoa will work together in the franchise's next project, I suspect that each of them will have choice words for their shared adversary. A third film should cue the audience into Maui's past and his unique relationship with each villain so that there's a deeper emotional understanding. His former relationship with Matangi is already a point of interest for many fans, as she appears to only be working for Nalo out of necessity. There's a significant chance that she could reconcile her differences with Maui, receive his assistance in fleeing her capturer, and join his efforts against their common enemy.
You will be destroyed, and your wayfinder too.
Number 5. The introduction of the gods. While the existence of the gods is a widely accepted part of Moana's universe, only a handful of them have appeared on screen. In the first film, there was Te Fiti and her vengeful counterpart, Te Kā. In the sequel, we're introduced to Matangi, who shows a limited range of abilities while interacting with Moana and Maui. There's also Nalo, who shows his face within storm clouds but refrains from a speaking role until the mid-credits scene after Moana has already defeated him. I found it strange that his true appearance was omitted from the main film, as it made him feel like a lackluster villain only rivaled by Tamatoa. The third film should introduce new gods, expanding the range of their responsibilities and how they interact with Moana's world. Matangi confirms they have an interest in human affairs, as she claims Moana has all the gods talking. If they're indeed the ones responsible for Moana's newfound powers, then they have chosen her for a higher purpose. If there are a group of gods choosing humans to bestow their powers on, then it's unlikely they share Nalo's views. It would make sense if these godly patrons took physical form to help Moana and Maui take down their common enemy.
Scratch that. I don't want to get attached if y'all... you know what I mean? Which you guys won't.
There's no denying that the next film will introduce new characters and conflicts. After 3 years of searching and risking her life, Moana finally had the opportunity to meet outsiders from her village at the end of Moana 2. As Motunui's primary wayfinder, it is her responsibility to discover the secrets of the ocean, including where it leads. I suspect that her adventures will only become more grand now that she's become a demigod and joined forces with Maui, who seems to have become a permanent member of her crew. While it will probably be some time before we see the duo again, I have a feeling they'll be prepared for the turbulent waters they face.
Moana, you need a crew. Hehe and Pua don't count.
It's the other side of the ocean.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated on our uploads.
What are you waiting for? Let's go home!